Started. I'm Candace. I'm the one that called and talked. Hi, Catherine. I've been meaning to introduce myself to you. So on the agenda today, we have the, I think first, I just had it up. Anyone want to speak first? Either the 1027 or...
Yeah, we
You guys want to go first? Do you mind?
Sure.
Does that work? All right.
You just get up and...
Yeah, just come up. Just talking to the microphone, name, and, who you're representing.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Renda. I'm from 1027 Group, and we're here to talk about the improvements on 4539 Montgomery and just the CRA application. And just go on about what we're doing building. So yeah, it's two commercial units that are obviously, you can see from Montgomery. There's 4 residential units above it, 2 bedrooms, 2 1 bathrooms, or 2 1 bedrooms. And essentially what we're doing is we're going to start renovations in about 2 months, hopefully, given the timeline kind of works with us. But we're going to be doing relatively major renovations on the residential units. So for most of them, we'll be switching just kind of the floor plan. We're meeting with our contractor Wednesday to discuss it further, but moving the kitchen to the front of the building for each of the units, keeping or moving bedrooms to the back, just kind of like an entire renovation to make it more of a livable and attractive place to live. And then the commercial units, we have one tenant who is in there through December of 2022, which is the vinyl shop, and then the other one is a month-to-month lease, and we're currently going through some issues with that tenant, and we're kind of evaluating that. But in regards to what we're doing with those storefronts, it's nothing certain yet, as it is with the residential units. But there likely will be a new tenant in one of them at least soon, but can't really say exactly what's going on with that yet.
Okay. So 2 1-bedroom apartments are above there, right?
2 1-bedroom and 2 2-bedroom.
2 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Is there any parking there for the residents? Or?
There's not. We're currently trying to figure that out. So we're going to the 3 buildings on the, closer side to Walgreens has a larger parking lot in the back, and we're seeing if we can work something out with that owner. And if not, we're going to go to the owner of the vet center and see if there's something that we can work out with him, just in regards to us renting it for the month for each of the residential units.
Okay. What kind of, for the residential units, what kind of rent are you thinking or estimating? Do you have an idea yet, or?
Yeah, so we are looking at around $1,100 to $1,200 for the 1 bedrooms.
Okay.
And then for the 2 bedrooms, we're thinking around $1,300 to $1,400.
Okay.
And we kind of have to see how, the entire renovation comes through and kind of what it looks like in the end.
Yeah.
And just kind of what the demand looks like, but that's our projections for now.
Okay. Any other questions?
Anybody else?
I'm curious, are you going to be trying to market the commercial space?
Yeah, so when we figure out what's going on with the tenant within that unit, we will start marketing it, and we've been actually discussing a lot just kind of what we think could be a great fit for that spot. We obviously want to do something that, attracts a little more foot traffic. So we've talked about coffee shops, and the owner of the buildings near us might do a coffee shop, so we're kind of working out with him to see kind of what we could put in there that would kind of bring more life to that block.
Yeah.
And is the vinyl going to be staying? You said their lease is up?
Their lease is up in 2022. We haven't discussed it with them yet, and we haven't really come to a decision on that, so it's kind of up in the air still.
Okay.
In December of 2022, yeah.
Another 10 months.
Yes.
So I'm curious, I went by there, is there a jewelry shop? There's a jewelry
That's,
sign.
yeah, so it's kind of, I don't really know exactly what is retailed out of that shop.
Okay.
I think it's a boutique type store. I think they have, their specialty is weaves, I believe, or extensions. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're figuring
Okay.
out right now with that.
So
to see what they're
what
gonna
the
do.
facade of the building, is it brick?
It's a brick facade, and then it has kind of a mix of it's a stone veneer. We're not really sure. We haven't kind of gotten into that, but we're actually in the process of contacting an architect to kind of do some
Trying to figure out
mock-ups
what to
of,
do.
yeah,
Okay.
we want to stain the brick some sort of color. We haven't, gone through any of the permitting process for that yet,
Sure.
but our idea is to stain the brick and then obviously touch-ups for all of the tuck pointing that needs done and everything, fascias, and then we're gonna hope to get some sort of, commercial facade specialist, so like stone veneer, something that's pretty attractive for those front commercial storefronts.
Cool.
It looks like they currently don't have central air. Is
Yeah.
that something you'll be doing?
So we have received quotes for it. Again, it's something we have not permitted, but we're gonna have that done in a couple months, given everything works out the timeline. But yeah, we're gonna be installing commercial air, so brand new AC units, brand new furnaces. Essentially everything in those apartments, the whole common area is gonna be completely redone. We'll get a new front door on there with, a digital lock, so it's a little more up to date with kind of what we would like to see if we were living there.
So the rent feels a little more on the high end for some folks. I'm curious what
Yeah.
sort of research you did.
Well, we actually we have a 4-unit on Maple, and we bought that, and it was probably the most distressed house on that street a year ago, or 1 year and a half ago, whenever we did buy that. And then over the last year, it's like a different house. So we've actually been achieving rents in that property for 1 bedroom is $11.25, and it's, we're gonna finish with at least the same standards, and the bedroom or the units in Montgomery are much larger. So the only downside personally is probably the parking, but we're in the process of figuring that out. So hopefully when it comes to it, it's sorted.
Thank you.
I don't know that I have, I empathize. This is something that I do on a daily basis, and I know exactly the money that you're looking at here. I mean, it's substantial, and I think you deserve the CRA, absolutely. So not to minimize what we're doing here, but I think it's a perfectly acceptable agreement.
We are doing the first reading, I think, tomorrow at council. I know originally your application start was March 1st.
Yeah,
Are you
so
guys-
we have 2 tenants residential that are still in there.
Okay.
And we just informed them a little while ago that March 15th is going to be the renovation start date.
Okay.
So we have at least our AC and furnace techs in line to kind of get started around then, but we don't have like any set dates for it. It's essentially just going to get started as soon as everyone's out, because we don't want to begin work until all the residential tenants are out, so it's safe to
Yeah.
start ripping stuff out.
Okay.
I am curious, what is the current rent for that space?
Yeah, so the current rent is, we had 2 2-bedrooms. One of the 2 bedrooms was getting $1,100. That included utilities though.
At this,
And
on Montgomery Road?
yeah, it included utilities in the rent, and it was also through a government assisted living. So that one got $1,100. We had one that got $925, and then we had the 1 bedrooms which got $700 and $675.
700 and 675.
Yep.
So it's going to be a bigger jump up for the 1 bedroom and not that huge of a difference for the 2 bedroom.
Yeah, we're kind of, that was our original projections back when we kind of modeled everything out for this purchase. We do think it could even be higher than that, maybe if the market allows for it. And if not, then we're going to, put it at a spot that's reasonable, which is what our plan is. But yeah, they're very large units, and we think if they just have some like touch-ups and tear out a wall or so, then they could be really great, like open concept units.
How's the floors? Is there hardwood up
Floors,
there?
yeah, so there's carpet in 2 of them. One has hardwood floors that, they're actually not in terrible shape, but I don't know how great they're sealed or kind of refreshed, so that has a little bit of damage just from like water being spilt on it and not cleaned up. So we're gonna be tearing everything out for floorings, and we'll be putting like luxury vinyl tile or vinyl plank in there.
You're going to get it. I mean, they're going to, to your point, Ms. Hoover, it sounds a little high, but you're going to get it. If you renovate it and it's nice and fresh and high-end work, I'm working on an apartment now right here on Sherman, about 3 blocks down. And I'm going to ask all kinds of money. So you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
No, we're
gonna get
excited
it.
about the area. We think
You're
it's
going to
gonna
get
be.
it. Whatever you ask for, you're going to get it. I mean,
I'm less concerned, and I do think you'll get it. One of the things I'm just sort of paying attention to is as we're improving these properties, which is fantastic, we're also losing some more of the affordable, lower priced properties. So it's just an awareness, it's not to
I
say.
totally understand. I get it.
Not that we shouldn't do it, just I'm paying attention to what are we gaining and what are we losing?
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, it's a great location for family or anything like that with the school and Kroger and.
Yeah, everything's walking distance.
Yeah.
There's a bus stop right out front too, so if you
Yeah.
don't have a car, it helps
Yeah.
with that as well.
It's a great location for that.
My last question,
Yeah.
sorry, is looking at that building, is it by floor, or is
Yeah,
it
so
broken
it's-
half, like as far as the units?
The way you get in there, so it's the entrance to kind of the residential section is right in between the two commercial units. You walk up and then there's one unit on the right side, one unit on the left side, and then it's stacked. So I think on the right side of the building is the left side of the building is the 2-bed, 1-baths, and then the right side is the 1-bed, 1-baths.
So it's 2 floors?
Yeah.
The units are 2 floors? Oh, wow.
No, they're one.
No.
So the second
Okay.
and third floor has 4 total units.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, so it's 1, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah,
Essentially the
fantastic.
layout.
Thank you.
Yep. Good?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, you guys wanna?
All right, well, my name is Joe Clare. This is Darren Wilson. We're the owners of Norwood Cider Company and DKRJ Holdings, which is the real estate holding company for the building the cidery will be located in. We'll be located at 2075 Mills Avenue, the old Norwood Brake Services, right behind the Speedway at the corner of Mills and Montgomery, across from Kroger. And yeah, our goal is really to build a successful business, bring some neighborhood amenity to the people that live in Norwood, that's walking distance, family friendly, and something that brings people from outside of Norwood into Norwood. We spent about 2 years looking for a location around the region, and finally, I think we were all on our last leg when we were talking with Catherine and some folks from the city, and we happened to walk by the building, and we said, well, let's call that guy and see if it's available, and it all worked out, and now we're here for you today. The building needs a ton of work. It's been an auto garage since it was built in, I think, 1934. And as you can imagine, auto garages aren't always the cleanest places. So it's a little greasy. Some of the building needs a lot of work. And in order to really make it a space that we're proud of, that's why we're coming here today to ask you for the CRA. We could certainly open it in a substandard space without air conditioning, with mediocre bathrooms and an environment, but I don't want to put my name on something that it's not high quality, and I don't think Norwood does either. We really want to be an amenity that you guys bring your friends from out of town. When they come in town to visit, we want them to come to our business with you. Our goal is to really hire from the community as much as possible. We'll probably start with 2 full-time employees outside of the 2 husband and wife team that owns the cidery. So me and my wife, Darren and his, will be hiring at least 2 full-time employees on salary, plus several part-time bartenders and production staff. Over time, we expect that to probably grow within the first 2 years, so somewhere in the ballpark of 12 to 25, just depending on demand and things like that. We will be producing on site, and really the focus of the site is the tap room, which occupies the majority of the space. It'll be a place for up to 75 people to gather at a time. We can potentially have small events around the cidery. We hope to partner with the market and help program the park. We really want to be a good community partner. In my day job, I work in community and economic development over in Northern Kentucky. Darren's a professor in that same field. That's how we met. And, we really value spaces and places that communities are proud of. And that's why we're really trying to go a little bit farther than maybe financially we should sometimes to make this something we're really happy with, so.
Yeah. And that parking lot behind, that's your guys' too, right?
It's not,
It's not,
actually.
okay.
Under the zoning code, because we are considered a bar and a restaurant bar classification,
Yeah.
we are not required to have off-street parking, with the exception of our loading zone, which goes through the garage door.
Okay, okay.
So while we would love to have some parking,
Yeah.
we don't want to try to find someone, we don't want to tear a building down to create it.
Yeah.
And hope to work with some of the neighboring properties
Okay.
to kind of co-park there.
Whose parking lot is that?
But that belongs to the office building where the Aaron's rental and the Ohio Media School is.
So, okay.
Yeah, it kind of wraps our building and Speedway.
Any plans to put places to lock up bikes?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a big cyclist, so
Okay.
I was disappointed the road plan didn't have a bike lane down Montgomery, but I know it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to get around on some of the side streets.
Yeah.
And we're only a mile from the Lawson Way Trail, so
Yeah.
I think,
Programming, different activities like biking and bike club
Yeah.
and run club, that sort of thing as well.
Oh, I love the jobs. That's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, we're not, unfortunately, we probably can't give up our day jobs
Yeah.
to do this, so we'll have to hire. And, the benefit there is that, that's new jobs to the community, and plus we'll still be working there. We are really focused on growing the business. Part of the reason we are keeping our day jobs to, when we start this, is so that we can reinvest and really try to grow this into something a little bit bigger than, just 4 or 5 employees.
Okay. Timeline wise, right now, what are you guys kind of waiting on from us? After this, we'll take it to council and do the readings, but do you guys have a timeline that you're trying to stick to, or?
We had
I know it
hoped to
probably
be
changes.
open, or we had hoped to break ground last September. As everything
Right on
is-
schedule.
Yeah, as everything right now, construction pricing was very challenging even to get, and it was much higher than we initially expected. Equipment pricing was very much inflated from our initial pricing, and so we've kind of been in this constant back and forth between getting pricing, applying to the CRA, and figuring out what the timelines were so that we could then make sure our pricing was still valid when we could close our construction loan and start construction. So,
Okay.
the faster we can do this, the better. Our contractor is like rearing to go. He asked if he could send guys over yesterday, but I told him, we really need to make sure that we can afford the project we're describing, with the CRA before we unleash him to do all this work. So
Okay.
that's really kind of where we're at. Having a predictability of real estate tax when everything else in this business is unpredictable will be really nice. So,
Have you done other projects?
personally, I work in, again, real estate development and finance, so I, myself have done a project in Newport, Kentucky, a commercial building.
Which one?
It's 609 York Street. It's right by Wooden Cast Brewery.
Oh, yeah.
A really small little one. That's where me and my wife live, and there's a building where the roof was caving in, and we figured if that building went in the middle of the block, that, the rest of the block could go down with it potentially, and we didn't want to see that happen, so we kind of made the less than lucrative decision to put a lot of money into a speculative commercial building, but it turned out great, and we have a little local tile shop that moved in there that's doing, porcelain tile counters and flooring and that sort of thing. But in my day job, I do work with everything from single-family home renovations up to working on a $150 million development in Union, Kentucky. So spend a lot of time around commercial real estate.
Thank you.
Can you, so I've heard, you call it a cidery?
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit, I've heard what you said, 50 to 70, give me a little rundown exactly what you're going to do there and.
Sure.
And what you're looking at.
So a hard cidery is essentially what a craft brewery is to brewing, is to apple. We convert apple juice into a hard alcohol beverage. We'll have other things like sodas, waters, kombuchas, that kind of stuff available for people who don't drink, or for your kids if you want to come in and enjoy a pint with us, and bring your whole family. That's no problem. So we will be producing on site from juice brought in from out of. Unfortunately, we don't have an orchard there, obviously. So we'll be bringing juice in, producing it there, and serving it there. Eventually, hopefully, canning and distributing there as well. But primarily, our focus is on that tap room. We'll have 75 seats or so, including a bar, and the beer garden style tables that are movable, flexible, so we can have different types of events there and programming within the tap room. So it'll be something where you might be able to go see a professor talk about his published research who wants to give a kind of just kind of like I think they want to talk about that kind of stuff. So maybe somebody from Xavier who just published might come over and say, here's a study I put out, and or you might have a birthday party there, or that sort of thing.
I appreciate that. So I spent a lot of hours in Norwood Break.
Oh, yeah.
Been there for, a lot of hours in there.
Yeah, Jim was a great guy.
And I have 2 sons that are mechanics. And one's a tech at one Midas, and another's an assistant manager at another Midas. And long story short, we looked at that building because we're looking for a shop. They are looking for a shop, and I'd like to help them. So anyway, you beat us to it. But anyway, that's a great location. Sounds like a great job. Yeah, sounds like exciting.
Yeah. Really cool.
How many flavors of cider? I'm a huge cider fan.
Oh,
Actually, I'm
wow.
aware
We
that
love-
I have some cider stickers on my water bottle, but
Excellent.
Now we know.
responsibly. I'm just curious, what sort of ciders will you have?
So we'll have a few core flavors that we offer year-round. So we'll start with a dry, semi-dry, semi-sweet, which is more like what you typically would get at the grocery store. And then we'll have a hop cider, and then we'll have rotating quarterly. Darren's really more into the production, so I mean, if you can talk about some of the different flavors
Yeah,
and stuff.
so we're actually, the equipment that we're purchasing to do this is to have sort of those mainstays and larger tanks. But we actually also we're gonna have the production ability to do rotating flavors, seasonal stuff. Actually, we just tested out a batch of pawpaw cider, I believe last year. And actually, I think my batch didn't turn out that well. Your batch turned out better than mine did. And so, but yeah, I mean, we were just at CiderCon, which is our national association cider professional event. And so, seeing the other cideries, have, at first we may have 5, but then growing that up to 10, and those additional 5 being rotational seasonal stuff that you'd see either just in the tap room, or you might see in cans or bottles elsewhere as well. So actually, I used to own a brewery. I co-founded a brewery in Richmond, Kentucky, where I was a professor at Eastern, and sold that to come up here. So yeah, so I've a little bit of experience in that. So yeah.
Exciting, thank you.
Those are, I kind of have general questions. Catherine, some of them, I think, I was talking to Keith, he said to talk to you. So like with the CRA, if it's under 49%, we don't have to ask the school board, right? Because that's their money too, taxes. But just talking with them, I do want to bring them into loop, not necessarily like for them to say hey or nay, but just to be aware of any, CRA applications. So I wanted to pick your brain, your thoughts, if that does happen, what like the process would be of, hey, if it's just sending it to the treasurer of the school board, she looks it over and says, yeah, that looks great, or if they have questions, I don't know.
Sure. So I'm Catherine Fitzgerald with HCDC and the City of Norwood's Economic Development Consultant. So specifically with your question,
Yeah.
that is actually mandated that the school district and the tech school be notified
Okay,
for tax abatements 49% or less.
okay,
For those more than that, for example, Factory 52, the school district has to approve it. So under 49%, notify the school
Notify,
district. Over that, they actually have to formally approve it.
okay,
So they have been notified.
okay,
We, just by way of background, we're handling the city's commercial CRA agreements.
okay.
And I just have a couple comments about both of the projects.
Yeah.
So, both of those properties that were presented tonight, neither of them bring a lot of tax revenue into the city because you really don't generate a lot of revenue through your property taxes, as you know. But just to give you a little bit of an idea, so with 1027, with the apartments that we're talking about, and by the way, 3 or more units kick that into a commercial project rather than residential CRA. And therefore need approval by council and whatnot. Currently, it's valued at $275,000, the property, again, that's on Montgomery Road. The city basically gets revenue of $746 a year on that. With the project, which will more than double probably the value, the auditor's the only one who will set that value, so this is an assumption. But based upon the project costs for the Montgomery Road project, the revenue to the city, even with the tax abatement, will be slightly more, $830. So again, it's nominal, but just to let you know that, because as the value goes up, obviously, the revenue goes up. With the cidery, you'll also have the payroll earning, the earnings, income tax. So they estimated ultimately, well, after 3 years, $400,000 in payroll, which would be about $8,000 in income tax to the city. That building is valued very low right now by the county auditor, $71,600. The city gets $194 a year. With the project, and again, this is a projection, the auditor sets the value. But at 560,000, which is what I estimated based upon the project, the city's annual revenue is $774. So it's a net increase. You're not really foregoing anything, but just wanted to give you that information.
Question? So are these, are there a time, is this 10 years? Is this like the abatement as far as the
So these are both commercial rehab, so 12 years.
12 years? Mm-hmm. Sure. Seems cut and dry to me.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Good luck
They're
to all
both
of
great
you. Good luck to all of
projects.
us. I know these are big undertakings, so good luck.
Yeah,
Get a good contractor, get a hold of me.
thank you. All right, any other discussion or anyone else? Good? All right,
Good, thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it, you're calling the meeting?
Yeah,
Love
the
it.
meeting.
Nice work, nice work.